Welcome, everybody, to episode 46 of PT Shop Talk. On today's episode, we talk about the influence of nutrition and wellness on rehab and how much we incorporate it into our sessions. And we finish up with our top 5 worst holiday foods, beverages, kind of a little bit of a yuck edition for the holidays. With me, as always, is Nick. Ham is for the dog, Doling, and Jeremy. Sugar cookies ain't that bad, Van Kloppenberg. Welcome, gentlemen.
Welcome. Merry Christmas, boys.
We are on the verge of Christmas. Very exciting. The cusp, not the verge. Is there a difference? What's the proper terminology?
No, we're just in the semantics now. Either one.
You like cusp though, don't you? I can tell. You're like, why did you?
Cusp.
Oh, the cusp. I didn't know you could fondle the cusp. Well, that's nice.
I'm distracted by your pooch in the background.
I hate it. I hate him, but it's the life I live now. I don't know.
Look at all those balls.
I know. It's been snow day for a week, so we've dusted off every old toy.
You got a ball pit in there too?
Yeah.
Arcade.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, it's like a Chucky
man.
Cheese here.
Casey's Funhouse.
Yeah, and it all happens to come down into the basement where I like to hang out. Actually, my wife let me have the arcade upstairs right when you come in, which is sweet. I never thought that would fly. So
we went to Costco a couple weeks ago and they had a NFL Blitz game, classic arcade. It's pretty sweet. They had demo mode going. I was tempted to
fire it up,
play a little bit, but we're still retailing for like $500 for one game. I don't know.
Yeah, pretty steep for something that I just don't foresee a person getting a ton of hours in one game.
No,
I have 60,000 on mine and still.
I was gonna say
that much.
You could put a
60,000.
Little emulator in it.
Yeah. We gotta make a trip up to Fargo sometime, Barry.
Yeah. Arcade day, snow day.
I tell you, you fly into Minneapolis. Nick's waiting at the airport.
Yeah.
You jump in.
Okay.
Nick drives to Fargo.
Tell me more.
We play some arcade. I have a few beers. Then we head to Frisco. Just hit in the road. Hit in the car and go.
Not that it couldn't be fun, but
Casey?
couldn't we? I hate the metro, so couldn't we just have Jeremy fly into Fargo?
Fly into Fargo. I'll pick you up.
Mm-hmm.
What's the connecting flight like there?
Like you're gonna go to Fargo,
Minneapolis to Fargo, or Chicago to Fargo?
Minneapolis. Huh. I mean, I guess it depends on how you fly. I suppose United would be Chicago, Delta would be Minneapolis.
I've always done Sioux Falls to Chicago to Grand Rapids. So, but Casey's right. It could be Minneapolis as like your little pit stop.
Yeah. There's good direct flights from Minneapolis to Grand Rapids. Yeah.
Chaw on this thing. Yeah. That's a haul, my man. But
16 hours. I mean, I'm going without you guys or not. So
yeah. Wouldn't expect anything less. Wouldn't want to hold you back.
I already got the tickets in the Airbnb. So.
Ooh.
Just saying.
I'm not in love with the Sunday game though. I'm not.
I think it's a later game on Sunday too. I don't know.
Is it one?
But yeah.
I thought
usually it's like Saturday at 11, which is a very enjoyable time.
Yeah.
Get the game in. You get your tailgate in. You don't have to get up too early. Get the game in. You can hit the road afterwards.
Because what life is about, what we're talking about, you need the recovery period afterwards. Yes. And an extra day of recovery is very nice.
I know. Yeah, I used to take Monday off, and that was just a chill day. Now I took Monday off, and that's just going to be like a driving day.
Yeah. It's forced. It's a bit of a haul. Yeah. But what a matchup. I saw the Bunnies are favored 3.5.
I would give them 10 myself. So
yeah. Well,
I think if you're a
tale of two halves,
take
right?
that money.
The last game was a tale of two halves, but it feels like since that one, that was all the Jacks needed, and they're kind of tearing man. Apart. Yeah.
Other than Holy Cross gave them a little bit of a shot in the playoffs.
He did 20. It was tied up going to the fourth.
Yeah. But SDSU looked good. I don't know what the heck Montana State's deal was. I don't know if the travel and the weather just got to them or what, but they looked horrendous.
Yeah, I was still like I'll be honest, I didn't watch much until the second half of that one. I was still like in mesmerized disbelief of the Vikings comeback, which is like obviously historic. And it was a whole lot of fun in the moment from where it just escalated. Here's a question I got.
I feel like I'm the only person that hated that comeback.
What?
No,
okay.
All the whole national media, the whole national media hated. They're like, well, they shouldn't have been down 33.
Yeah, that's what I felt like. I'm national
who
media.
cares?
Apparently.
That's still amazing, right?
Not the whole. I don't know. Michael Wilbon had an awesome take on it because he was calling out Kornheiser on Pardon My Interruption the other day, and Kornheiser was taking the take that you're saying, Jeremy, where he's like, oh, I don't know, Vikings 10-win team, they shouldn't have been down by 33. He's like, yeah, that's fair. And Wilbon,
they almost beat the Eagles.
But he's like, he goes, if you watch that game, did you watch that whole game? And Tony's like, no, I didn't. He's like, there were some fluky scores in that first half. So he's like, as the Vikes started building, pick six, punt, block six. I mean, that stuff, but we couldn't do a thing. I mean, offensively, it was like vomit, and the defense actually didn't play all that bad, even in the first half.
Yeah.
But the offense just didn't show up. And anyhow, so Casey, why do you hate this game?
Yeah.
Why do you hate watching history?
Well, I don't hate the comeback or the history behind it. That's all wonderful. I just hate the absolute take of how awesome the Vikings were for doing it. Like, I get it. That's not easy to do, but at the same time, man.
Like, no one's ever done it. That's how not easy it is.
I'm going to be honest. I bleed purple.
No one ever has done that.
Happy holidays here, but I don't totally disagree with you. I think what it really comes down to is like, what do they do with it? If it's just a one-off and you were just trash in the first half, it's like a nice little footnote in history. Who knows? Somebody will eventually, over time, it'll get broken. Again, eventually.
Never again. Never.
I don't know.
When they start playing 5-6 quarters of football and the rules change, Jeremy, it'll happen.
24 games in a season.
Yeah, we need to make these games longer.
But
I think as fans, we keep waiting for this team to okay, when are you going to play a whole game like you played that second half? Or when, you did it one time, you did it against Green Bay to open the year. Since then, you've squeaked by so many teams. You either thumped them and then let them right back in, or you gave up a big lead a couple times and you had to make some triumphant comebacks, Now, if they can look at that and say, okay, in the second half, the defense had some awesome stuff going for them. Finally,
they
the
played
blitz
really
percentage
well.
was like crazy high, and they played more press man coverage, I guess. Yeah. So that Duke Shelley is a little special dude too. He stepped in and busted up. He was the highest pro football focus rated guy on the field that day.
Even though he didn't get credit for 2 defensive touchdowns.
That too. I mean, there's a whole lot of trash, just trash refereeing in other games too this weekend on that note.
Yeah.
So here's my question though. Did you guys both watch the whole thing, like start to finish?
Yeah, I did not. And that's maybe part of my influence too on not liking it as much, but
okay.
I told you guys I walked away. I went to Walmart at halftime, but I watched the whole game.
I started like cleaning up storage space on my phone and but I kept my eyes on the TV the whole time. Here's my question that I've asked a few people. At what point did you finally start believing like this could maybe happen? And I can go first if you want, because I've asked. It was the Jefferson touchdown.
Yeah.
To go down by 2, like when he caught that to make it like 21-36.
And we had gotten a couple 3-and-outs. There was time. There was
still 12. There was like 12 and a half minutes left when he scored that. And I'm like, dang, like other teams have done this to us and made it a game, and we did it to Buffalo.
Yeah.
That was it for me. Like that one. You, Jeremy?
Casey didn't like that one. No, I would say the same thing. You know what was crazy? Actually, I should answer your question first. Yes, I would agree with that too. And do you like his new little drip on the gritty?
Go on. What
injured his hamstring. So
yeah.
Like
a soccer thing,
walk,
right?
Grab the hammy. I like that.
Yeah, because Alexander Madison did that a couple weeks ago too.
They Yeah, he did. But didn't he injure that twerking? Wasn't that he got fined for that?
He faked the injury.
And then he
faked
twerking.
the injury, and then he started twerking. Which I guess soccer.
You're only allowed 2 hip throsts. That's the rules.
Some cool stats though. I saw that Kirk Cousins is leading the league in yards thrown in the fourth quarter. So for all the hate that he gets for not being clutch, like he's
bad.
He's not bad. And then Justin Jefferson, I don't think there's ever been a receiver to go over 2 rushing or 2 seasons with 1,600 yards receiving. And he's done that in 3 seasons. They put up this whole list. It was like Marvin Harrison, 13 years, like all these guys. And I'm like, 2 out of 3, they're like, this dude is different. Like, we better pay that guy. We better give that man.
He'll get paid. He'll get paid.
Every dollar he wants.
There's already articles going on about who's going to be the sacrificial lambs, and we're going to pay him.
Adam Thielen. Bye.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
He's on for 19. Like his cap hit next year is like 19.9, I think.
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't it be great? Like, let's go out. Let's go on a playoff run. I'm not going to proclaim any finality there, but just go on a nice little playoff run. He wins Walter Payton Man of the Year and then just retires. Like, just go out nicely.
Didn't Goff already win it?
No, they're just down to the finalists. Or each team had to announce who their guy is. Gotcha. And then they'll get it down to like the final 4, I think. And then the night before the Super Bowl, they do all the awards.
Okay.
Yeah. I agree. He disappeared. Like, he had another touchdown. I mean, I think he's got 6 or 7 tuds this
year.
Yeah. But he disappears for huge chunks of games.
And KJ
just can't. Woo, maybe that's a coming out party.
So you go like, what was it, 11 for like 152, and then he 57. Got that 157, and he got the 150 yarder called back. I'm like,
when that happened, we're just like, why can't you just give it to us? Why can't you? You know,
that was the story of the first half though. It didn't matter. We couldn't get a call. I mean, we just couldn't get a call.
But my final thing on this note. I just want to put some dap on my son, my oldest son, Connor. He whipped this up for me in like 1 hour. I mean, he is
pretty solid. Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
A little different color pattern.
Contrast is sweet. Yeah.
Is that watercolor?
No.
Oh,
I'm not sure.
Colored pencils? What medium?
I think so. Yeah.
Printing stamp.
He loves it. I'm pretty proud of him. He's got a little bit of a talent there that we encourage. So it's fun.
We'll be painting pictures in no time. I need another one for the home. So
okay, I'll give him a picture of you and
Napoleon.
See what he can do.
That was sweet too.
Can you get me? Can you get me in a rowboat crossing the Potomac?
Oh,
with my men.
Yeah, I'll get him pictures of my entire staff. Get them all in the boat.
Hey, I've already earmarked my entire marketing budget to Connor for next year.
Okay. How about we'll just have him superimpose your face on Gandalf's body based on our conversation. That could be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I'll be one of your hobbits.
I'm gonna abuse that power like you wouldn't believe. Time to right some wrongs. The first thing I would say.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh man. Yeah, well, woo. I'm trying to figure a good segue into wellness, nutrition.
Keep going.
What else happened to you guys this weekend?
Oh boy, I was feeling very well.
Mess.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, some of that food we're going to talk about later would not make the cut.
I had like 4 patients bring me treats today.
Ooh.
That was
okay. What was the best one?
I gotta say, this gal brought in like a chocolate caramel thing that was to die for. It was very good.
Chocolate caramel thing.
Yep. I don't know how to describe it. It's like
we got some.
It's like not a Christmas crack. type thing, but similar. Like there was like a crumbly bottom, caramel chocolate. I don't know what you call it. Maybe like maybe those homemade Twix. Maybe we talked about last time. Similar.
Oh yeah,
recipe,
yeah.
maybe?
Those are delightful.
Oh, it might have been something along those lines.
Was it made with club crackers?
It was not a pizza bar. It was a rectangle. Unless it's cafeteria pizza bar, I guess.
You can do cafeteria pizza bars. Yeah. They don't have to be triangles.
So. That's BS.
Yeah.
I'm over
how about Barry? How about you? What was your best food brought in by a patient this year?
You know, we only had we had one tin of like some powdery cookies, but I'm questioning how actually well the person who brought them in was.
So you got to always away from them for sure.
But you know, like that's probably
it's a wrinkle.
This is one of the weakest years for Christmas treats, and that's a KPI. You know, like we'll be talking about for 2023.
It affects your NPS.
Like that's more like, yeah. I mean, do you want like a patient satisfaction score, or like can you take that off of tins of cookies? You know,
I can read.
Are they correlated? That's my question.
They should be correlated very highly. Yeah,
strongly. Yeah, I can't quote the study offhand, but it's
likelihood ratio of like 12.
12.
That's high likely.
Strong research. Just like if you eat well and recover, you become strong. It aids you
become
in your
well.
recovery.
Yeah, we're getting really good at these segues.
It's falling apart. I blame that on you there, Barry, for starting us late tonight.
Yeah, Barry got the real late start.
Sorry, guys.
It's not dawn out in Michigan.
The sun will be rising shortly.
It looks extra dark there. Do you black your windows up?
No, that's just
holy moly.
The dead of night.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
man.
accurate. Like, don't you guys have stars?
All
Is there a moon
listeners...
where you're at?
Nope.
Oh, wow. That's like creepy black out there. I'm a little
Winter
concerned.
storm Elliot is brewing, so the stars are hiding.
It's got a name now.
Do we name storms here?
Yeah.
Thing?
Yeah, it gets included. It's lumped in, yeah. Elliot. I didn't know it had a name now.
I couldn't tell you a single blizzard name.
It has a name. It has a name.
Though. Yeah, they're not as memorable as the hurricanes, you know?
Yeah. Like 96, 97. Do you remember any of those blizzard names?
I don't think naming was trendy back then.
You usually name it by the year. The blizzard of 78.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's what
blizzard 97.
That was
we
a
all know
bear.
what you're talking about. Oh, 97, man. Flooding in
you don't
Red River
say,
Valley.
Wow, Alejandro was real terrible in 96.
Yeah. But to that point though, if we all said Hurricane Katrina, we all know we're talking about
yeah, but that's not a snowstorm.
No,
it's not a winter. Yeah.
So yeah, they're like
you don't name winter storms. You year them.
I think it's lame to try to.
It's a vintage. It's a vintage. Yeah,
it's interesting.
Yeah,
I wonder what the difference is. But anyways, I was excited for this, Nick, because I know you're a big anti-soy guy, right? Like soy's not your thing. So I was a little bit of it. I was curious to hear about it. All about it. Tell me more.
Well, honestly, it was driven by an allergy that I have to it. And I don't know if I've told the story on the pod. Case, I don't know if I've told you this, Jeremy probably has heard it, but back when I was like going into my junior year of high school, my boys and I went to make a GNC run at Fargo, got some EAS, phosphagen, and creatine, and then got
lots of soy in that.
I got
should have got some
that had no soy, but I bought like this 50-50 protein blend by GNC, and I was like, oh sweet, I'm gonna get creatine before, I'm gonna get protein afterwards. I'm gonna be yoked for football. And went and did a training session like the very next morning and chugged this like whole shake and basically came shy of anaphylactic shock from consuming way too much, sort of like 40 grams of soy protein. So I found out the hard way that way. But I'm also not a big fan of all the flavonoids that are in there and the supposed estrinergic effects that soy has. So
yeah, I've always heard that.
I think broadly, one of the things I was thinking about this earlier today. I was talking to guys about it, but like broadly, a little history with nutrition and PT. I mean, when I was in school, we were told, you know, you can know what you know.
Don't touch it.
Don't you got to caution with any recommendations that you give to patients, because you got to claim you're not a dietitian and explain all that. You're not a certified dietitian, not a certified nutritionist. I think that's shifted quite a bit. I think it feels like it's freed up, whether it's been probably, I got to think the internet's really pushed a lot of that, internet, social media, and basically you can go and find so much of this information online anyway. So the likelihood of being held liable for giving some general decent advice, I think that's pretty low. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts? What were you taught in school about this?
Yeah, kind of same thing, like stay in your lane. But at the same time, I know there's a lot more. I think even the APTA said like general education on nutrition is in our wheelhouse. I mean, right. I'm not gonna say, hey, you're diabetic, let me make you a meal plan.
Correct.
But I think it's okay to say, hey, you're diabetic, like watch your sugars. Like these foods are high in sugar. You might not know this, but milk's got a lot of sugar in it, or like fruit juice, like don't drink orange juice.
Soda.
Yeah.
Panta? Sugar in it.
Yeah.
I think if it falls in that realm of like obvious health advice, I mean, I think it's almost detrimental not to mention it,
I agree.
Right?
I think that's where probably not just us, but so many fields of healthcare for so long shied away from those hard-hitting topics and make anybody feel bad. And it's part of why we're in such a bad health situation now.
Yeah,
like the highest rate of obesity in any developed country, and
I don't think it's any different than somebody talking about struggles at work, struggles at home, and talking about how it makes them feel. I mean, I'm not gonna sit and try to work on your depression per se, but I think if it's affecting your life, we should talk about it a little bit. And I think nutrition's even less of a gray area than that. So Plus, I think we get a lot more direct questions on nutrition too. I for me anyways, more patients ask me like, just general stuff like, especially like vitamins, nutrition, minerals, those kind of things. Like, should I be taking fish oil? Should I be taking a vitamin D supplement? It's like, I think you can give them what we know, I think that's okay. Now, when was this going to affect what I'm taking, my prescription meds? Okay, that's a different conversation. But
Barry, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree. I like obviously at USD, much of the staff was the same as when you were there. So it's kind of that same song and dance, so I'll still do that. Like, I mean, I'll still say that to our staff, where it's like, I'm not going to sit there and be like, everyone needs to take fish oil, right?
No.
God, that can thin your blood and affect a lot of other medications too, right? But
fish oil can, huh?
That's what I've heard.
I've not heard that. I'm learning something new.
So in terms of like that piece of it, I guess, maybe some of the workaround is like, this is some of what I've heard, or this is some of what I've done. Yeah. This is what's worked for me. But then, again, I still find that's like towing a little bit of a line too. I find
are you being genuine though? I mean, and you're not.
I'm always genuine.
I think if you're genuine and you're not proclaiming like facts,
I'm not trying to sit here, like I'm usually on the other side of it, right? Like glucosamine chondroitin, like should I take
it? You're a skeptic, aren't you? You're like,
so I'm like
shitting all over these things.
No, I am a skeptic, but I'm like, for something that's a super cheap supplement, you get 10,000 tablets of fish oil for $10.
Yeah.
Versus glucosamine, you're like, man, $50 a month, $100 a month. Like for a lot of our patients, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So I'll tell them, I'll say like, hey, I've had just as many people say like, hey, this changed my life, as say like, it didn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
I'll say, I'll say that. So it's just I don't know. It's a challenge for me. I'm like, when I saw this topic, I was like, out of anything where we could be better, I think is like activity recommendations, right? Like, I feel like a lot of us don't do well on that side of it. And it's like, well, shoot, like, maybe a lot of this other stuff would be cleaned up a little bit if we were just more active. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's both and. Like we got dietary issues though too, and I
agree.
I know it's kind of a fitness industry, expression, but I do feel like I've learned personally over
train a
life
bad
too.
diet.
Yep, you can't train a bad diet. Diet's king, exercise is queen, right? Different things, different expressions for it, and I think I've loosened up, and one where going a little bit further down the road, I felt more comfortable after last year too. Just opening up the dialogues I've shared, like going through my own recovery from last year's knee surgery, being able to just like have that dialogue with patients and be able to say, yeah, I really upped my protein intake, during that time to help with the recovery process. And I actually took that from a post-operative protocol that my mom was given for her total joint out of like, I don't know, Bismarck bone and joint surgery. Their group was prescribing it and making these not prescribing, but making these strong recommendations that like in advance of surgery, she stocks up on these things. And
chicken breasts or Ensure?
Whatever means you get, like 1 gram per pound of body weight, 1.5, like I'm going,
wow.
Right now I'm like, what's that?
A gram per pound of body weight
a
day?
Yeah. Which is still kind of like well below bodybuilder standards, right? They're at like the 1.5 to 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to be at like 1.5.
It's a lot of protein.
Now. I'm trying to get 1.5. You got to supplement it. It's the only way you get it. Like I've eaten a lot of chicken, a lot of steak, a lot of ground beef, but I bought a bunch of Fairlives too, like 30 gram shakes that are ready to go. Got a couple tubs of protein powder. I mean, kind of easy to get there when you start adding those things in. Then you got your bars that are like 20, 21 grams each one. So it adds up. Nuts. Yep. Anything to help.
What about you, Casey? You like eating nuts? Huh?
Go on.
Where you at?
Is this a Gandalf segue again?
Yeah,
am I back? Sorry.
Hey,
he's back.
Yeah. I was just saying, I'll clip that for later. That'll be in our new open all the time. So,
yeah. What, Jeremy? Do you remember? I think we were still doing PQRI reporting when you started.
Yeah.
When we were trying to get ahead of MIPS.
Yep.
And I can remember when I started, and I'm tying this stuff in. There was always a question on BMI. Like you had, not a question, but you had to report BMI. And document that you've had this conversation. And I can remember when that happened, like being in the stand-up meeting, and I was like this new grad therapist, and we were doing it all on paper and having like these veterans, like I just kept my mouth shut. But I had these veterans that were like, I ain't talking to people about that. Like I don't want to step on people's toes and make them feel bad, like that whole dialogue. And thinking back now, I'm like, man, I wonder how pervasive that mentality was too.
For just GPs and
GPs, PAs, anybody, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to. My dad was a victim of that. I shouldn't say victim because I believe in accountability, but my dad had like the tightest friend relationship with his GP for like 40 years. And I think my mom's equated it to like, gosh, anytime you go in, they'd rather talk farming and all the small talk farming and weather and all the small talk stuff, even though my dad was obese and he had, all these enzyme issues going on, cardiovascular stuff. And it was like, oh, we'll give you some meds for that. And, we'll try to tweak it that way, but never a conversation on exercise. Like my dad never even figured to do that until he saw a guy out of Fargo at Essentia and was told, you got to lose some weight, dude. Like this is killing you. So then he dropped like 70 pounds.
That's powerful.
Sometimes you just need to be told it, right? And it was hard hitting. My mom said he was all sad because it was like the first time, but got on the horse.
So we've had a new kind of influx of that in our practice too, where we have an ortho group that'll like, they'll pop that ICD-10 on their script, morbidly obese. And I've had patients say that to me too, where they're like, oh, I guess it's my fault because I'm obese. And so
yes.
No, like
correct.
I just still believe there's got to be some tact with that conversation, right? Like,
yeah.
If somebody's, I just had it this morning, like my first patient of the day, where they're like, wow, I weigh 100 pounds more than what I should. And I said, well, yeah, so we can look at it this way. Like we would say that every pound you lose is taking 4 pounds of pressure off your knees, right? Like we can say that's a great fact, right? Like we have that fact, but there's also that piece to say, like, you need to be able to move too. Like if we're not finding effective ways for you to move, if we just look at you from this side of the computer and we're like, you need to lose more weight, you need to move more, you need to exercise. It's like, then like, in what ways are we empowering those people too? Then to be like, well, okay, well, how do I do that? Right. And we would say that's where our profession comes in. But a lot of those people don't make it to us either. So it's like, I don't know. I believe there's got to be some level of empathy and tact with that conversation too, to be like, hey, like, this is important to work on. This is why it's important to work on. What barriers are you having? Instead of just being like, oh, you're fat. That's your problem.
Well, yeah.
Come back when you lose 80 pounds.
You can always turn them all off. And I don't think we're in the position to like turn them away, as opposed to like, like orthopedic surgeons, like this spine guy that my dad saw, he basically told me, he's like, I can't do surgery on you until you lose, 80 pounds, 70, 80 pounds. Yeah. And then I remember this quote forever, because then according to my dad, he said right after that, he goes, you know what? If you lose that 80 pounds, I bet your back pain goes away.
Right.
I'm like, ooh, I like this guy,
Yeah.
And my dad was really bummed for like a day, like driving back, but the next morning he got up and started hitting the old elliptical and, tried getting on the horse. So
horse or the elliptical?
Both. Metaphorical horse.
Oh,
literal elliptical.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that's cool. Like, I think it's like, it is a shift that we should move into. I think, like we've talked, lifestyle medicine. I think that's really cool. Like having somewhere where you can get a little bit more of a one-stop shop instead of just being like, all right, well, my doctor told me I'm fat. I go to my PT, they give me some exercise. I got to go somewhere else, like where you can kind of coordinate it all. And like you said, like Case, like you've always talked, like having a great network. It's not necessarily that we have to do all of that. But being a facilitator for that, we obviously are in the spot where we have more time with people to get through those things. And
I would like to be the profession that people say, I just want to feel better. Where do I start?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because right now, who is that? Is it a personal trainer? Is it a chiropractor? Is it a GP? It depends on the person and the route they want to go. And, I think we should try to position ourselves to be that people and try to find a way for insurance to recognize that and accept that and find ways to financially bill for that and make it viable.
When you say feel better, what are you describing? Is it just purely physical, or are you talking about?
I think it's just
psychosocial, emotional,
all of it, right? I just don't feel good. I think there's a lot of people out there, they might not pinpoint necessarily what's going on. Yeah, I hurt a little bit, but like I feel a little tired. I feel fatigued. I feel down. I don't have motivation. I'm not excited about, the day-to-day stuff anymore. And maybe it's probably everything, right? It's not just a psych thing. It's not just a physical thing. Like Jeremy said, maybe we're the facilitator. Come see us first. We'll get you moving. We'll start to find ways to do the simple things well. When we start peeling back the onion and we go, okay, there's some serious PTSD, or there's some serious stuff, sexual trauma maybe underneath that we're not qualified for, or you got, you're having way more struggles with dietary issues than probably we can accomplish. Now it's time to go and find what your allergies are, have somebody work with you through like a restriction diet or something, just to find those things. But like, I think you can try a lot of easy things with people right away to save money and time. And sometimes that's a good place to start. Yeah, instead of going, what's the craziest far out thing that I have going wrong? Let's solve the hardest thing first and then try to get the easy pieces in afterwards. I don't know if that always works.
But I make that argument too, though. Like you talk, Nick, with your dad, like where it's like, oh yeah, shit. If you lose 70 pounds, like your back pain might go away. It probably will. or like sure as heck are going to move better. You're going to be able to do more before that pain hits you. Right. Like same thing. Like we know that there's those tie-ins, like, again, not saying like we're going to cure every piece of depression or anxiety or things like that, but like it's well documented that if you're in a normal exercise program that reduces, like, so it's like movement is a really, really high bang for your buck to hit a lot of different domains of wellness.
Right. If you're at a healthy body weight, you feel better about yourself. Your self-esteem goes up. Probably your social goes up, right? I mean, why do you hear people don't like to go to the gym? Well, I think people look at me because I'm out of shape. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's the place you go to get in shape, but you don't want to go because you're out of shape. So you already know how that affects not just your self-esteem, but then your social stuff. Because if they don't like how they look at the gym, they probably don't like how they look going out to the movies or with their significant other, or where they go to weddings.
Now, do you guys see that stuff changing with this shift in body positivity and changing how they're trying to destigmatize obesity?
Maybe helps a little bit, but I don't know if that's the answer to the. That's just it's not trying a quick fix to make people feel better, right?
It's feeling better versus doing better. That's I mean, that to me is the sheer.
But what I would hope. But what I would hope that is, it's like right, there's peoples of all shapes and sizes, right? And what I would hope with the body positivity thing would be like, you are not less of a person because of that, right? You're not. But what I would hope is like that would take away some of that barrier, being like, I can't go to the gym.
And I can't go out and enjoy social things because of how I look. Like, take some of those barriers away. I'm okay with that.
So that's where I would look at the benefit as being like, like, man, everybody's at a different place in their life because of a whole litany of other factors. Like, it's okay that where we're at, but I think we should still have these facts that underlie it, where it's like, there is a healthy BMI. There is a healthy blood pressure. There's a healthy level for cholesterol. Yeah. Like, you are fine and you're a great person where you're at, but also it's not bad to say that you're unhealthy. Yeah.
And if we don't, I think it's dishonest is where I probably have the biggest issue with. And it's, if you really buy into, foil hat conspiracy theories, there's people who feel like everybody at the tippy top of like government media has some type of tie with big pharma now. And it's kind of hard when you're, I don't know how actual that is, but man, there's a drug for everything on TV now. And I can't believe how much it's exploded no matter what you're watching, and it's all about taking a pill to try to help you feel better, try to manage this, try to manage that, versus like diet and exercise. And we've been hearing, dude, we've been hearing for like at least the last 10 years hard by the APTA that, we're going to be supported on, viewed as the preventative care experts. And there's this addition, the old accountable care organizations were going to be important, and really none of that's actually happened. As we were talking offline, we actually have Medicare cuts hitting physical therapy again in 2023. So no matter how, it's like they're saying all the stuff, but they're really not doing it or following through and supporting it at all. It's like, there's really no money in prevention. So they're going to follow the dollars, and, it kind of sucks.
There's no money to earn, but there's a heck of a lot of money to save.
Totally.
As far as
totally
healthcare premiums, all that stuff. It's like, well, yeah, it's a super old soapbox of mine, but I'm like, we don't like, we take gym class out of school because it makes people feel bad. But, we take health class out of school because it makes people feel bad. But when you're 26 and now you're on your own insurance, now we're going to change your habits. Now we're going to make you healthy. We're not going to make anybody healthy. You got to
start with kids. You have to start with kids. You're going to I'm not saying it can't be done with adults, but the likelihood goes down just astronomically. You've developed so many strong beliefs, and we'll say perhaps misconceptions in what's possible and who you really are, who you could be. I mean, that's challenging.
but that's cool. Like I love like the stuff that like Adrian Lowe and that group is doing with kids, like teaching about pain that at that age group. And it's like, this should be lumped right in with that too. You know, like how much money could we save if people understood when it's appropriate to go to an urgent care and when it's appropriate to go to an ER? Just like a simple decision-making tree, you know, like it would save a ton of money, right? Like, if we had people that are like, every day I'm going to take 3 15-minute walks, how much money would that save? Something as simple as that.
I mean, bringing it back full circle to the topic, you know, of nutrition and wellness and how much we can, I don't even want to use the word prescribe, you know, give in terms of advice, recommendations. You know, I would also argue, not to belabor the idea, Casey, but I think there's more value in if we as healthcare professionals can operate with some respectable freedoms to not be reckless, careless, but give some good general advice to these people because they're coming to us, they trust us already. But to be able to do that rather than, you know, try to hand off to somebody else, right? And I think that we've all recognized where that's a gap in the continuity of care, whether it's a nutritionist, dietitian, or whether it's, a behavioral health specialist, right? I've heard these things come up repeatedly, at least within our company. You know, there's a drop off there. They're not sure who to connect to, and the communication piece is challenging. The referral system is difficult sometimes. I mean, I think that if that can still exist, but at least in the intermediate, if somebody's coming to you and asking you, you know, like opening themselves up, we got to be comfortable enough to just give that general advice and give them that extra nudge that they might need. Maybe they're just waiting for it too.
Well, I was going to say that too, that in terms of like, how much of it is fear-based too, right? Because like there's plenty of personal trainers out. Like, is there any personal trainer out there that's not giving advice on supplements or what to eat?
Totally, right? Like, and
is there any
free to kind of just do that, right?
Yeah, because there's not like a governing board. Yeah, they don't have to worry about losing their PT license.
Yeah. I think it would be pretty hard, you know, in the nitty gritty though, it'd be pretty hard to prove anything too, if you're just having a conversation and you're not prescribing anything. You're not giving them a meal plan or anything like that. Which even a meal, like how innocuous is that?
Yeah.
Like you could just be, you want it to work. All right. You want something that works. You're going to eat chicken breast and broccoli like every night. That would work if you could adhere to it, right? No matter who you are, it's going to work. Is it likely? Probably, you know, the fall.
And I think simple advice, like I've had patients do the food diary thing on their phone just to open their eyes a little bit. There's a decent amount of free food tracking apps out there. So, I mean, I think that for a lot of people's eye opening, you know, like that. A serving of orange juice is only 4 ounces or whatever, and it's 300 grams or 300 calories and all of it sugar. Yeah.
So I'll give an example quick where I bite my tongue, if it makes sense too.
Oh, I like that.
So you Casey, you were alluding to me not being a soy boy, and I love the term. I've kind of prescribed. I'm not going Liver King again, not going full circle Liver King, but there's like Sal. God, I can't think of his name. His name's Sal something, but he has a podcast and he's all about like eating raw foods, again, raw meat. Everything's meat, organs, stuff like that. But he's more legit, real looking human. And they have, you know, I've listened to him before, and he is very much against seed oils, right? And you know, he references it, and I've never been able to follow through on it, and actually read research and literature that shows a correlation to the evolution of seed oils being introduced to food products and all these other issues, and how, you know, his belief and some other guests that he's had on his pod are like, man, we were given the worst advice ever when we were told to stop eating animal meats, and we were told to stop eating eggs for a period of time. Remember the war on butter, the war on cholesterol. He's like, it's totally backwards in the study to support this and all that stuff. Yeah. That stuff to me, that's still like, it requires more literature, and it really runs counter to everything that was, you know, commonly prescribed for the last like 40, 50 years. So that's where I really tread lightly. And to your point, Casey, like, I don't want to get in trouble with the governing board either. So I'm not going to sit there and proclaim to any of these patients, like, God, cut out all your seed oils. maybe the way I'll introduce it though is to say, hey, I'm kind of trying to do this myself, which is true. And I'm like, look at your condiments. Like, open your eyes up for a second. Just spend a little time if you got it when you're at Hy-Vee or Walmart and look at some of these labels. And you'll see, Myers. You'll see how many Silent J. You'll see how many additives are in there, and maybe you want to rethink it. Maybe you want to rethink what you're buying.
What's brewing in that head, Casey?
No, I think even something like just general elimination diet advice is okay, to say, hey, I think it's okay if you try to take one thing out of your diet and see if you feel better. I mean, that's simple,
Well, what if it's regular Coke? Will I feel better if I take that out of my diet?
You're going to want to switch to diet.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but even something like that, because patients will ask me that too. Like, well, I switched to Diet Coke and I'm not seeing a lot of changes yet. And it's like, well, yeah, you've cut out the calories, but there's plenty of research that says you're still getting like the same insulin response. You're still, you're tricking your body with fake sugars. Your body still thinks it's a real sugar. So if that's your goal, is to regulate blood sugar and those kind of things, like you're failing yourself. It's almost worse for your body.
But to sidebar on that, because I love what you're saying, Casey. I've seen that one many times before too. And there is some now counter back there too, where it's like, maybe you're what you're saying is potentially true in some laboratory studies for like, a diabetic population, potentially, right? But
potentially, yeah.
For the general population, you're still like people say we've overcomplicated diets as well, where it still comes down to like calories in, calories out. Processed sugars are terrible for you. Like some of those things, by overcomplicating it, people are scared of like diet soda and trying to portray it as just as bad as like regular soda. You still got to look at the calorie content. You still got to look at those ingredients and be like, well, yeah, some ingredients also for artificial sugars, right? Flavoring. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, look at all the sugar that's in that too. That just immediately gets converted to belly fat and your not just abdominal fat. What am I thinking of? Your visceral fat, which is really
right
dangerous.
To them organs.
Well. Yep. Yeah.
They like to be warm.
They do.
It's just like a little coat for them.
Yeah.
In wintertime.
Yeah. Just like your disgusting winter foods.
Ooh. They go right to your organs.
That's what I was going to say.
That was a hard pivot. Hard segment.
This is like Independence Day on here. Yeah, we did improve. That was a better segue for sure.
Yeah.
It's the holiday season. Everybody's like semi on vacay. I get it.
Yeah.
So it's norm. I'm like a week behind on YouTube videos again. I apologize.
You're all right. Oh, we love you, Casey.
They're going to ban you for all that Gandalf content anyway.
The Tolkien family's coming after me after the last one. I've been once they let my unlicensed music go up, it's been fair game. Maybe that's why I posted two of the same video for that one episode. Maybe it just was like, nah, let's take an old episode and put it back up.
You're so excited about it. See if it passed through.
Yeah, and now it didn't. As far as I know, I need to go back now. Some things have changed. But yeah, top 5 gross holiday foods / beverages. Yeah, I think this list was it was fun for me to go through, but it was not as expansive as my favorite foods. I mean, there's not a lot of holiday foods I hate. Yeah. There's a couple.
I agree. Mine has 8. My short list is 8.
I think it was a 7.
Yeah.
I mean, there's things I prefer not to eat, but I wouldn't say yuck. Like, I'd eat them. You throw them out at me.
Yeah. Wow, this will be fun. Let's just have some fun with it.
Yeah.
Barry, let's go first. Let's have Barry
inverse list.
He was late.
You guys gonna be pissed if it's sugar cookies?
No.
I can't wait.
That's much more appropriate on this list.
No, and Casey, I'm sorry because I know this is on your favorite list, and I can't get myself to try it, so I have to put that out there.
Okay.
Count then?
But
does it count if you've never tried it?
Yeah. Well, it's like drinking liquid eggs. Eggnog is my number 5.
Tastes nothing like liquid eggs.
Disgusting. Oh, that sounds disgusting.
They have fighting words in the Hanson house.
Oh, go get some eggnog right now and drink it. Delicious.
No, just eggs shouldn't be in a drink.
There is zero
unless you're.
Flavor. I just would like you to know it doesn't taste like eggs at all.
All right. Well, maybe next.
Like
maybe by next year I'll try it.
Cinnamon and heavy cream. That's all you taste. Oh, yeah, mind blowing.
Yeah, but unless you're drinking raw eggs and then going and doing pull-ups, then you should never drink eggs. Ever.
Oh, I like to carry a gallon of eggnog with me at the gym the whole time. Running on the tread. Like those dudes that have the big bottle of water when they're running. That's me, but it's eggnog.
Eggnog.
It's just, coming out the sides of my mouth. T-shirt. It's got the nice eggnog ring on it.
Speaking of calories in, calories out.
Yeah.
How long would you have to run on the treadmill to get through a gallon of eggnog?
About 18 hours. It's a very dense drink. Not a great protein profile.
You'd argue you don't really drink it as much as chew it, right?
Yeah.
Guys, come down to Frisco with me. We'll have some nog. Bring it on the trip.
We'll nog it up.
Yeah, throw it in the cooler in the car.
All right.
Go for that.
That's my number 5.
All right.
Yeah, I want to go next. My number 5 also was on Jeremy's list.
Oh,
and it's sugar cookies. They're
come on.
My top 5 list is just personal. Jeremy's top 5 list from last week. Yeah, sugar cookies. I don't get it. It's the worst of the cookies. There's nothing to them. They're like eating sand and glue. I don't get it. You can throw like enough frosting on top. I could maybe choke one down, but I don't eat them. My kids made some the other day. Dad said, "No, I don't want one." I didn't even humor my kids.
My daughter made one last night too, and I didn't eat one.
Yeah, because it tastes like dirt. Well, yeah, that's my number 5, sugar cookies.
All right.
Sorry, Jeremy, I was angry. I'd fight
That's
back.
okay. That's all right.
Well, we're in the segueing business here, and that works out really well because my number 5 is also sugar cookies.
Hey!
Oh, come on!
I'm gonna add. That's fun, and I even had a little added note like
you guys came up with this before.
Some frosting can maybe make it a little more palatable, but by God, you got to be careful with the sprinkles because especially when they put those shitty pearl ones on there,
metal balls,
like, chip your teeth.
Yeah, what is the point of those?
Like, who the hell thought of that? Like,
dentists.
Let's just make a shitty cookie even worse. No way.
That's super villains for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you can add some flavorings to the sugar cookie too, to like maybe a little. I've had some with almond extract, some with more. I don't know, more vanilla, I guess, but I don't know. They suck, especially when they're like the dry, crunchy ones too.
Oh, like the thin ones that are just glass.
Like going to the processed foods, like I'll eat some Loft House if I have to. That stuff's just like dough in your mouth. But I don't think that's a true sugar cookie. I'm just going with the holiday crappy ones. So that's my number 5.
The ones that people always put on a stupid tray. Yeah.
Sorry, Barry.
Hey, you know how like shortbread cookies are bad? These are even worse. Enjoy them.
Come on.
It's like shortbread, ginger snaps, and sugar cookies. I could probably put all 3 of those together. Oh.
Sometimes you just got to own it, my man. Sugar cookie.
Well, I've already erased it from my brain.
It's your dark tower of cookies.
Yeah, it's okay.
Holiday food.
I'm gonna go give that another watch, maybe even tonight.
Save it for the new series.
It's back in the best.
Well, I've moved it back up. It's number 1. I won't tell you which list.
So my number 4. I don't know if you guys ever ran into these. We had. You guys ever do potlucks at your church growing up? We had them, and like it was always like around the holidays too. And there was always one gal that would bring like the Jello mold with like the flat bottom, the ring over the top.
Yeah, just a bunch
random fruit. Yeah, crappy fruit in between. And I don't know. I'm not the biggest Jello guy, anyways.
I hate Jello. It's the
weird.
worst.
Can we all agree on that? Like,
yeah,
Jello just sucks.
I've never liked Jello. I would see kids just slurp that stuff up, and I was like, "There's something wrong. There's something wrong in your brain. That's not good."
Yeah, for like
Jigglers.
When snack.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the little
Warm
stars.
hands.
Snack packs were hot for a while, right?
I wasn't into those either.
Yeah.
But I think I had like one ever, and then I was like, never again.
I will do a Jello shot. That's about it.
Maybe. But yeah, that's my number 4. I think Jello's pretty much gross, and adding fruit and marshmallows and other crap into it. And I think she even had it one time where there were some candy canes in it.
Oh my God.
Just
Who
not
did
good.
this thing?
Yeah.
Get this lady on the pod.
I don't think she's still alive.
I'm not gonna say she deserved it, but
jeez.
I said it wasn't, Jeremy.
All right. Yeah, that's
probably the only reason the Jello mold didn't make my list is I've never eaten one because I hated normal Jello, and I was like,
Jello's nasty.
No way it's gonna be better.
It didn't make mine either, only because I don't think of it solely as like a holiday thing either. I mean, I think you get some shitty Jello salads all year long.
That's true.
So when I was in high school, we had a business class, which was actually super sweet. And one of our assignments, they gave us a product and we had to improve on it. And I got popcorn. So I made a Jello mold with buttered microwave popcorn. I thought it was like the grossest thing I'd ever made. I was like vomiting as I was making it.
And you won.
Yeah, everybody in my class loved it. They were like, this tastes so good. And it was so gross because it was like butter and like cherry Jello. It was like, not good. But everybody loved it because kids just love Jello, man. It was weird.
Nasty.
It looked cool. It was like, and the popcorn was obviously all soggy. I didn't have really a system. Yeah, one of the grossest things I've ever made. My number 4.
Let's go on.
Also on Jeremy's list is candy canes, but just classic peppermint candy canes. We talked about that. They just suck. They're always broken. They don't taste good. We went through the holiday lights in Fargo the other night, and the lady was like, hey, we have free candy canes for the kids. Would they like one? Both my kids were like, no. Even my kids won't eat candy canes because they know how crappy they are. High-fived both of them. So way to go.
Shout out to my in-laws. They were on the way out.
Oh, sweetheart.
They were on the way out to Michigan, and I go, I know they were bored because they were listening to our podcast.
Good thing
my
I didn't
father-in-law said,
was it the Gandalf one? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I said the same thing. My father-in-law was like, I have never learned so much that I didn't want to know about hobbits. But then like these showed up. I'm like, they're already almost gone. I think I've had 3 today already. Yeah.
Well,
I'm just talking the classic, like the peppermint candy cane.
Nasty. It almost made my list.
Yep.
Almost.
Not good.
Nasty jazz.
Not nasty. Good. Made my short list, but not quite. My number 4. So Jeremy was talking church potlucks. I always think of church with this one. Generally picture my grandma or somebody of her age caliber making these treats. The white glob of goo that's referred to as divinity. It's just a mush. You guys have had it, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's like a ball of dust.
It's like sweet dust. Like somebody put sugar on dust, and here you go.
Yeah, like I swept the floors and covered it in powdered sugar and kind of put it together in a ball for you.
Divinity. I gotta look this up.
And they think it's great. They're like, oh, she made divinity. Can you believe?
Yeah,
must have been like, yeah, sure can.
Yeah.
Oh, gross.
I had to keep sugar cookies on here, but I was torn between divinity and cherry cordials, but divinity won out.
Cherry cordials are nasty.
Oh no, I like a good cherry cordial.
Oh, you would.
Yeah, I hammer those out all day.
Yeah. So that's my number 4 is actually divinity.
Yeah, they're gross.
Yep. Did I read that right? Is that nougat?
I think it technically would be like a
nougat-like confection.
Yeah. Paste.
Right. Steals all the moisture from your body when you eat them.
All right.
Yeah. Good one.
Number
Nick. Very good.
333.
Yes.
I think these lost a little bit over time because, like people like to be clean and you want to know where your stuff came from. But saran wrapped popcorn balls drizzled in caramel are maybe the worst thing in the world.
Well, I disagree.
Yeah, well,
Big
I'm
popcorn
putting it out
ball
there.
guy. Big popcorn ball guy.
You should never put anything sweet on popcorn.
Like Jello.
Kettle corn, Jello. Ugh.
Oh, you don't like kettle corn, huh?
No, it's nasty. Give me the extra butter all day.
Now, would you do a popcorn ball without the caramel on top? Say it was just like a normal, like marshmallowy popcorn ball?
No, marshmallows don't do it for me either.
Dang, weird. That's a big disagree for me.
Sorry.
A popcorn ball is good.
I don't mind a popcorn.
It's not your list, bro. It's mine.
I think it was like a Halloween topic too. I'm not going to argue where you got to place it, Jared. Or excuse me, I'm not going to argue that it's on there. You can't call it the worst thing and have it be your number 3, bro. This just seems to be a recurring pattern with you. Like,
I can call it the worst thing ever.
Nah,
I haven't tried my number 5.
That's got to be your number 1. Your
What
number
if
one needs to be your absolute.
What if it's the worstest thing ever?
But what if there are different food categories?
Yeah,
this
like one's
food
a
slash
meat.
beverage. It encapsulates it all. Come on.
It's the worst of all?
You just said it. It needs to be your number 1. That's your worst.
Oh,
it's the second to the worst thing ever.
You just spoiled
this
it.
thing. Yeah, who knew? Okay, it's the
I don't know.
You pulled
this. You pulled these shenanigans with the movie countdowns too. That is, the math doesn't add up, my man.
I'm my own person.
I love it. Other than the fact that it's popcorn balls,
it keeps us fresh. I like it.
You're the keeper of your own list, Jeremy. Let it be.
It's a middly crappy treat.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Yeah,
there we go.
It's not the worst, but it's quite up there. It's definitely top 3.
My number 3. I used to think these were cool. There was a time period, and now as an adult, I'm like, this is the dumbest thing ever. And it's when people bring out the giant bowl of uncracked mixed nuts. Nobody wants that. Like, they don't taste great. Like, you ever try to crack open a walnut, get the stupid nut out of there, and it doesn't even taste good.
Yeah.
Like, none of the nuts you crack taste good. Like, what? Just put out a bowl of peanuts.
When you were a kid, you got to use a nutcracker.
Tasty.
That was fun, right?
Yeah, you destroy the nuts and just wipe them into the garbage, and you wouldn't eat any of them.
Get a bunch of dust and crumbs on yourself.
And then I put it in Divinity.
Yeah. And you had to have like the older members of your family make you feel uncomfortable when you're like, hey, give me a Brazil nut. And they're like, well, that's not what they're called. And you're like, Grant, stop. Don't do that. Right? There's always that awkward moment. Like, they brought a lot of bad things about the holidays. They're just not good. They don't taste good. Like, none of those nuts. Like, zero seasoning. I suppose it's healthier, but boy, what a mess. What a mess.
Wow.
That's my number 3. Not only are they gross, they're messy and they're semi-racist. So that's, I mean,
not bad.
The nuts themselves, but bring out the worst in people.
I like that our list doesn't have a lot of overlap so far. We're a diverse group. This next one, Michelle warned me. She's like, it could be controversial.
It better not be popcorn balls.
No, it's not popcorn balls.
They're nasty.
It's definitely a regional. It's popular in this region. It's the first of mine that has it. No, I'm not gonna spoil anything. It's disgusting. Yeah. It's disgusting, and I hear people brag about it all the dang time. Oh, I love it this time of year. It's lefse. Lefse is like one of the most boring and just items of food I've ever had.
Wow.
Really can't stand it when it's around because people build it up so damn much, and then you try it. Hey, you want some? You want some cinnamon and sugar on it? No, it's not helping it.
It does help it, Nick.
It's my number 3.
If you've never tried cinnamon and sugar on it, you should, because it is better.
I have. Okay. I have. And it doesn't.
What do you, go on. What do you think would taste better with cinnamon and sugar and butter? Like a tortilla or lefse?
Maybe a tortilla. I don't know if I'd like either though.
Yeah. You tried it with like meats? You tried it that way? I mean, you can make a wrap out of them. You can do whatever you want. A little mashed potato and gravy in there, roll it up.
Nope. It's my number 3, Casey.
It's like a beef commercial.
Just afraid
Casey,
you're
it's
missing
not your
out on
list.
the options.
It's not your list, Casey.
Hey,
You're always defending Jeremy. I got to be my own man here.
I'm not defending. Jeremy has the worst list ever with popcorn balls at number 3. I'm not defending him at all.
No.
Okay. You don't have to like what I like.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I would hope
surprised.
these lists were allowed to have discussion about. I'll just
Yeah.
post them online if that's what you want.
I just disagree with your disagreement. I disagree with your disagreement. I think it's disgusting. So Left says my number 3. I mean, it's not like outright puke disgusting, but it's just like, why is it even there? Why does it exist? It was probably because people were poor, right? So many
it's potatoes.
Foods, it's like, oh, you just had to make it out of this. And then over time, it develops this reputation.
Why do you hate tradition? Why do you hate tradition?
Same reason I hate divinity, Jeremy. Somebody thought it was great at one time. Doesn't mean it's got to stay.
Oh, fine. My number 2 is the worst thing ever.
Second worst thing ever.
Oh, crap. I'm going to get this.
You'll get it. You got one more chance.
I'm going to say this is the worst thing that ever could make it onto like a Christmas meal table.
Okay.
It is that. Sweet potatoes and or yams. I don't know. I think God messed up when he made sweet potatoes. Again, you shouldn't
take.
Why?
Strong. Why? That's a strong opinion. Please go on.
Oh,
yeah, you keep going before I
gotta hear this.
Potatoes should be sweet, man. It's not a fruit. It's a potato.
Sweet potato fry.
No thanks. Yeah, if I have copious amounts of salt on it to take away the sweetness.
Little kosher salt on it. Sea salt.
No extra salt. All kinds of salt, and then maybe some ranch to take the sweetness away.
You go with sour
and then
cream.
I'm still wishing that it was a regular potato.
So you're definitely not doing sweet potato fry and a marshmallow fluff.
No, I told we typically do beef tenderloin for Christmas dinner. I'm like, and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna do sweet potatoes. I'm like, that's just the worst thing ever. So we're making.
You said typically because you guys did it one time.
No, this is.
I thought last week you said it was like special or recipe.
Once a year. Once a year we do it.
I'm just Jeremy, balls now.
I bought 9 pounds of beef tenderloin yesterday.
Ooh, you're gonna like it.
Yeah. Do you wrap it up? Do you twine it? Do you twine it up with
trimmed and tied, man?
Oh, you get it that way, or do you tie it yourself?
Yeah, you make the meat counter do that.
Oh god, I got mine from Costco, so it was bagged up, and then I looked online, and they're like, "Oh, you're gonna want to tie that up." And then I saw pictures of them tied up, and I'm like, "That looks like
nice,
very specific way to tie a meat up." So
it's not that hard.
I got to do some research.
But I'm being a brat. Like, we're gonna have special mashed potatoes. I'm like, I don't want sweet potatoes. Like, let's put real food on the table.
Okay. I like sweet potatoes. I like by themselves, and I like them as fried.
Oh, because they're lower on the glycemic index.
Maybe. Maybe. But
loaded with vitamin D.
I'm with you. My God bless my grandma soul, because she would make the old classic one with the marshmallows baked on there, and I'm with you on that. That's gross.
Whoa.
It was, and then she put like a bunch of brown. My dad would be like,
brown
sugar on it too. And I'm like, dear Lord,
just scooping it into
just tastes like
some
sugar
lefse
paste. Again, yeah, I'd probably put it on lefse. You try to do that, you sick son of a bitch.
Yeah, my family was not sweet potato yam people, so I just have no reference for this. Like, all I know is sweet potato fries, and they're delicious.
Good.
So,
and they're gross.
Yeah. I think my grandma thought that the marshmallows were going to get like us kids, like all eating it. Like, the boys don't like this, and I was like, gross, whatever. I'm on to the cherry cheesecakes, as we talked last week.
And
Right.
cordials. Yeah.
Cordials.
I'm sure it would be on my list, Jeremy. It does sound terrible. Normal potatoes are way better.
Yeah. Give me it. Like Yukon Gold any day. I might even take a regular old russet over that.
100% every time.
God.
My number 2. I don't know if they even still make this or if it's just been recycled since 1950, but it's hard Christmas candies. You guys familiar with those?
Yeah,
like everybody had them in like a bowl and nobody ever ate them. They were gross. They were gross then. Still gross to this day. Like I said, I think it's still the same hard candy that was made like during World War II when they didn't have like anything else, and people just keep putting it out because it's like
the mixed. Is it the mixed stuff?
Yeah. Let me
Does it have like the colored kind of twirls in it?
So that's a candy ribbon, sometimes included in the old-fashioned candy, but I don't consider those necessarily one and the same.
Okay.
I don't know. Like this whole grab bag of garbage.
Yep. Most of it
there's a little
garbage.
candy ribbon.
Ribbon,
there, right?
Yes.
Pepper, like a candy cane, pretty much in stupid.
It gives you the illusion that they're individual, but
yeah, they look nice.
All
they look
together.
delicious.
Yeah, that's one candy.
No,
You're correct, Nick. That is one candy.
Yeah, just 1% humidity.
You look at that and you go,
yeah, it looks like a person individually licked every one and stuck them together and then put them on grandma's counter.
Yeah, maybe they did.
Yeah, they don't taste good even. Like there's not a redeeming candy on here.
Don't they look enticing though? Like it
looks like this little green guy
one would be good.
Like, he's got plaid stripes on, like he's all there to have a party. Tastes like garbage. Probably tastes like anise. Half of these taste like anise / anus, however you want to say it.
I'm not French.
Like this little guy is like, oh, that's like a lemon head. You like those, little child? And then you put it in your mouth and it's like, nah, it's just
Pine Sol.
Yeah. It actually tastes just like a lemon. Yeah, they suck. They're terrible. Hate everything about them. I hope they have stopped making them. Look,
they've got a $4.1
for a pound. $18 for a pound.
Old fashioned.
4.1 out of 5 stars.
Once again, it needs to evolve.
It's these old ass people, like Nick said, that are like, well, it was sure good when my great grandma had them in 1805.
That's all we have.
This was the only candy invented.
Gosh, does that say negative 13 at the bottom? Negative 13 at the bottom?
Oh, yeah. That was 39 below yesterday with the wind chill. That was unfortunate. I would rather sit outside in that than
eat
old-fashioned hard candy. So that's my number 2.
It's a good one. My number 2. It's my second to start with L. And I've had this one mistake that I've made around the holidays. The year was 2004.
Burned into your memory.
In Madison, Minnesota.
Oh, capital of the world.
Wife.
Capital of the world.
You know where it's going.
Oh.
Tried it. Lutefisk.
Acid that fish.
And it's just mush. It's like the texture alone. It would have been my number 1. But I said, like, I couldn't, just due to lack of frequency. Like I tried it one time, never again. Right. I don't feel like I could put that as like my number 1 because it is such like a rarity and delicacy. I don't know how many places are really like cooking it up and going through the live process.
Is it a delicacy?
Consider delicacy.
What's the opposite of a delicacy?
I'm gonna challenge.
Like I'm pretty sure it was just made for
if
poor
this is
people.
If this is on your worst 5 list, it cannot be considered a delicacy.
Depends on who's considered. I'm saying other people consider delicacy. I do not. The Norwegian delicacy. Yeah.
Sounds like the worst ever to me.
Yeah, there was a Lutefisk, and I didn't even.
Curious to see your number 1.
They just had a whole bunch. You just wait for number 1. I think we're gonna have some fun with that.
Dog shit.
Also starts with an L.
Dog shit on plates. We used to just put that out for Christmas. It's literal poop.
Yeah. So, all right, that's my number 2, Lutefisk.
That is a phenomenal number 2. That's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, I think it should be a number 1.
Yeah, they had like a Lutefisk feed at Jeremy, you've been at that little restaurant we've stopped in at on the way to Christmas parties of old.
It is a fine supper club.
It's a fun little story. It is just a supper club. And
no one's ever in it. You wonder how, like, no one's been in it in 36 years. And you're like, how
that
is
place, dude, every Saturday,
running?
That place is loaded up prime rib night. And then you get there right before Christmas. It's Lutefisk.
I bet that prime rib's good.
I tried one. Yeah, prime rib is good.
Small town supper club.
One bite off of like, I think one of Michelle's uncles was like, you gotta try it. You gotta try it at least once. I'm like, all right. And I'm like, oh my God, like, why are you eating this? You chose to eat this.
Yeah. Number one is here.
Number one.
This is the worst candy on my list.
But maybe not the worst all time.
It's the worst thing ever. Come on, Jared.
You even messed up number one. Son of a gun.
No, come on.
He's not drinking
It's
red
the
wine
worst
tonight.
ever.
That's what I don't see red wine.
He's not on top of his game.
How do you know there's not wine in this?
Ooh, what do you got in there? Water?
Actually, it's empty right now.
Yeah. That's what it looked like.
Touche.
Nothing out of there.
I've been working on my fake drink too. Number one, peanut brittle. I think that's the worst candy out there. And people would be like, they'd get on top of it and they'd be like, I made this for you. Here's this tin of peanut butter crap.
Dickhead.
With like, they didn't even have like the regular peanuts in it. It had like the husk on it still.
I don't necessarily like when people do that.
Peanut brittle is gross. And then it's like, you ask like, who makes it? So like, who invented this? Dentists. Like they want you to crack a tooth, pull out a filling, something. And
I thought I had the only big pharma conspiracy theory.
No, dentists are behind it all.
Oof,
this is even better.
Dental conspiracy as well, Jeremy. But
I'm kind of pissed. I just right after Thanksgiving, I had my last cleaning, but in June, I'm going to talk to my dentist about it. I'm sure she's on board. So
she'll know. She starts sweating as soon as you bring it up.
Yeah.
Oh shit, he knows about.
So I was doing some reading about peanut brittle. Yeah, I'm busy.
She just starts clearing her throat.
Your teeth look great. See you
get out
in
here.
6 months.
Gotta leave. Got something came up.
There's a fluoride cup for you. Just spit and rinse on the way out.
Oh, now we're getting into conspiracy.
Yeah, for sure. Is that the same fluoride that's in the water I drink from the tap?
Oh. So, Casey, where do you sit on peanut brittle?
You know how Jeremy said like
disagreeing
this
looks.
was the worst thing ever? I would disagree and say Jeremy's list is the worst thing ever at this point. Peanut brittle is so good. I love peanut brittle.
Oh my goodness.
It
now the listeners know everything they need to know about you, Casey. You drink tequila and you love peanut brittle.
I'm almost angry I didn't put it on my list last week. Now that you mention it, my wife's sister just brought me over a tin of peanut brittle and I've already eaten all of it. It was so good. You can make bad peanut brittle. Don't get me wrong. Like bad where it's like gross. Burnt, where it's hard and burnt. Yeah, like that's disappointing because I know it can be so much better. But when it's almost like a toffee, melts in your mouth, a little bit of crisp to it when you bite it. It's almost like
I would rather eat 2 pounds of stuck together old fashioned candies than the tin of peanut.
But would you rather eat 2 pounds of lutefisk?
No,
probably.
Oh,
I might.
Oh my goodness, you would not
slurp that down. Lutefisk can't be that much worse than herring. I like herring.
Oh, it's 100 times worse than herring.
The way it's prepared, Jeremy. It's not the fish. You can't blame the cod.
Yeah,
don't
blame the white fish, Jared.
You're lying.
You blame the lie and the people who soaked it in it for like a week. They got to soak it in a bunch of other stuff to get it out.
Where do you sit on peanut brittle there?
I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle because it actually, Jeremy, Michelle agrees with you. She's like, yeah, I put peanut brittle on there. I'm like, I'm indifferent on peanut brittle. I'm okay if it's there. But I'm not going to sit there and mouth through it either. I'll bite here and there.
Yeah.
Mow it down.
Ooh. All right. Well, all right. I like this. We're having some fun with this one. I got a little disagreements here and there. So far, I got to say, my list, if I'm just being honest, has the most mutual agreement among all of us.
Yeah,
I got some big hitters on here.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys, hold on. You guys we just went round robin on peanut butter, but nobody's went. What is your guys' take on left side? Because you guys kind of clammed up and tried selling me on it.
Oh, I like left side. No problem. I mean, it's average. I'm not gonna. I will sometimes skip it if people have it, but it's like the only thing I don't like about left side is like. You have the plate of it people pass around, and then you got to get the butter. You got to get I'm sitting at the table. I don't want to prepare a second meal while I'm sitting here. It's too much
for something that you said at best is mediocre.
Yeah. Like if somebody already has it pre-rolled up and buttered for me, I'm in. Delicious. I'll take it. I'm not going to sit there Christmas or Thanksgiving and prepare some lefse in front of myself. Like,
it's an effort-driven business.
Yeah.
Yep.
Too much.
Jeremy, where do you sit on lefse?
I don't think anybody's trusting Casey's take after his peanut brittle.
I don't know about that, Jeremy.
You know, when I was in Norway,
popular.
they'll have like lefse at like games. Lefse and these little wieners.
So it's a
jelly.
real. So they actually.
It's still a thing.
Like, it's a big thing.
It's still a thing. Yeah.
Thank
I didn't
God
see
it's
it
just
with.
seasonal
I didn't
here.
see it with just butter and sugar and brown sugar. Cinnamon. No, sweets aren't my thing, so I'm probably not gonna partake. But
Yeah, lefse. All right.
I would probably
try
go
with some mashed potatoes next time.
I was gonna say that's what I'd probably go with is like the lefse commercial, mashed potatoes, and like get some hamburger or steak or gravy on there.
Mashed sweet potatoes on that, baby. Yeah. With a little sea salt.
Crush
little
up
sea
some
salt on there.
peanut brittle.
I think we
throw it
actually
on top for
purchased
some crunch.
We purchased sweet potatoes, and I'm like tempted to like take them and throw them off the deck.
Nah,
right now.
don't do that to Amy. Come on. You just eat them up. Be healthy as a horse, dog.
Be no soy boy. All right, my
No
number
soy
one.
boy.
There's pills for that.
My number
All right.
one is the worst thing ever besides Jeremy's list, and it is lutefisk for sure. Not only is it the worst thing to put in my body, but when it's out and prepared, it ruins the meal for everybody. I don't even have to eat it, and it ruins the meal. Like, it is that bad. Where when other people are eating it, I'm like, oh, it's like watching people eat Jell-O. Like, it's gross. It's like not an appetizing
That is gross.
thing, right? Oh, it tastes like cleaning supplies combined with a light fish flavor. That's not good. That's not a great combination. I've heard there's like newer ways that they make it now without lye and things, and it supposedly tastes better, but I'm not willing to walk that plank.
Yeah.
Ever again. I never need to eat it ever again.
Yeah, my grandpa loved it. Not even holidays. He just always had some around. It's super gross.
It's a great number one, Casey.
Cracker? Would they put it on crackers?
Nope, he just ate it. Butter and fish. Yep.
Yeah, butter. Yeah,
little spoon and some butter. Yeah, and they would claim, well, it just tastes like the butter. It's not like lobster where it just tastes like the butter. It has a horrendous chemical flavor to it.
It's the texture too. I mean, it's just you want to see it. It's, I don't know, it's like divinity but worse.
Yeah.
It's like you soaked
definitely
your
worse than
divinity in
divinity.
lye.
So it's exactly like peanut brittle.
No.
We're back.
Extremely different texture profile.
Extremely different.
That's a good number one. Not quite as good as this number one.
Right, fire it out.
I had to go there. It's eggnog, bro.
Whoa!
It's my number one because, and this is why I mentioned frequency of lutefisk. I only had that one bite of lutefisk ever, and I never needed to do it again.
So bad.
You could argue it could be number one. Eggnog, I have tried year over year for like 12, 13 years in a row. I'd buy a quart of it at the grocery store thinking this will be the year I like it. And I never like it. And it sits there. I mentioned this last week, I think.
Goes bad on top of the fridge.
I pour a glass, usually like a highball, right? And I take a couple sips and it sits there forever. And it does taste like egg case. I don't know where you're not getting the egg out of that, but it's egg. It's very
You're
eggy.
in your own head.
No. Egg mixed with nutmeg. I don't need it. And then the rest of the quart sits in the back of the fridge for like a month and a half.
I'm gonna do next time I see you guys, I'm gonna do a blind taste test where I have like heavy cream with a little bit of sugar and nutmeg in it, some eggnog, maybe some sort of blended ice cream nog mix. And you're not going to be able to tell.
Just making up.
Yeah, I'm just making things up. I'm so mad.
I'm
so mad about peanut brittle, popcorn balls, eggnog. Frustrated. I'm off my game. This is maybe the worst Christmas ever.
No, we love each other. We're the three best friends that anyone
could have.
But yeah, it's eggnog. I mean, sometimes you just got to be honest with yourself, Casey. I don't think you truly like it either. I think you.
Well, it's definitely not a top 5 worst for sure. I mean, it's good enough where you've tried it many times. Like, you can't say it's that bad where you're like, oh, it's so terrible.
You know, it's the frequency in which I've been disappointed. You know, you get there 13, 14 times.
This was not our top 5 most disappointing holiday treats.
So that makes it my worst. Yes, repeated pain.
Okay.
And maybe some GI disturbance. Who knows? I'll put the blame on it.
I think Casey just does it as it's like a hip thing, right? Like it's a hipster thing because he's like, I know everyone hates it, so I'm gonna be the guy that likes it.
Everyone hates it.
Everyone hates it.
You can buy it in the grocery store. It can't be that bad.
Who buys that?
Somebody does enough that they stock it.
It's full.
No, they throw that all out.
People's fridges are full of 90% quarts of eggnog.
I mean, how much divinity do you see in your grocery store? 0, because nobody's eating it.
That's because the sweet grandmas are making it at church. We've established this. You know, just like lefse. Lefse is like people bring it to a potluck at your work, you know? And you feel like the asshole because pass around and they're like, oh, you didn't like the lefse? And you're like, I'm not. And everybody else is like, oh, you don't like lefse?
Yeah, they're like, me and 8 of my friends got together with our special lefse making tools and spent 12 hours making lefse, and you didn't like it.
You're right. There's a process.
Yeah.
Grandma's dad is drinking eggnog.
Perfectly. Yeah, we just drinking eggnog, making lefse, and here you are pooping on it. Get out of here.
That should make you feel bad though. You're like, I don't want to go through the process of putting like a little sugar, but they slaved away for at least a half a day on it.
Well, that's true. Maybe I have to rethink it.
I'm gonna try some eggnog. I'm gonna do it.
I'll do it again. I might as well.
Yeah, you're 14.
I've tried it with booze. You know, I've tried it with. Is it rum traditionally, right? I think rum was like.
Yeah, I think that's typically what most folks put into it. I guess.
I tried to mix with Bailey's one time, you know, to see if those would blend. That didn't work. We tried. What was that really trendy creamy liqueur from a few years ago? Rum chata. Yeah.
They made an eggnog?
It sucked. It's eggnog. It sucks.
I don't know. I think you're in your own head. It's just a nice creamy milk drink.
I wish I wasn't because I want to think that I'm gonna like eggnog. I've tried the light eggnog.
Yeah.
You know, it's like slightly thinner. But
calories in, calories out.
Yeah, I think maybe that's the problem with eggnog is it's so heavy. I think people aren't prepared for that. You drink a little bit of it and you feel full to your tummy, so you assume you're nauseous.
It's what I picture.
Creates like a sort of systemic response.
It's like the gallon challenge.
Yeah, but it's like a one little cup.
Well, it's what speech therapists should be doing for like swallow tests, right? And
same consistency for sure. Yeah, have you ever tried drinking it out of like a moose head type glass?
Now we're talking.
Yeah, you're gonna like it better out of that. Maybe you start there.
It's all about perception, boys. I guess.
Maybe start there. Right.
So way off. All right. Before we close out, any takebacks? Any like woulda, shoulda, couldas on these lists? Second thoughts, Jeremy. I
wish I could have put peanut brittle on there.
All 5 of them. Okay. That's very frustrating. It's a very, very good. Also in the grocery stores, every candy fine confectionery you go to, it's loaded up with it. Have you ever tried cashew brittle?
No.
Probably hate it.
I was gonna say
you need to go up to Mackinac. That's a brittle capital too.
I bet there's some good brittle up there.
I think maybe you just know bad brittle folk. Because I will say that's probably why brittle didn't make my list last week. Was a bad brittle is bad. Like I said, it tastes burnt. It hurts your teeth.
When it's thick, there's a thickness piece too. If it's overly and it's
it depends on how, like my wife's sister makes a really thick brittle, but it's easy to bite through. Like it melts in your mouth. It's like
Is that possible? Are you just thinking?
Isn't that the point of brittle?
Are you just talking about like a sugar daddy?
Yeah. No, that's gross.
We talked about those back.
She just unwraps a bunch and just connects
sugar daddies. Here you go.
Smash just like some nuts into them. Here you go, Case.
Yeah, I think you're just eating bad brittle, Jer.
So Jeremy, if he could do his list over, he put brittle in twice.
Brittle in twice. No, I have no regrets. I'm very confident in my list, even after hearing all of Jeremy say all the things I love are terrible.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I am as well. The only thing is I might, and this is not to appease Jeremy, but I might bump the sugar cookie out and put the cherry cordial in because those things they're gross.
What do you hate about them? What do you guys hate about those? You guys don't like maraschino cherries? You're not big fans of those?
The cherries, it's less the cherry, but the cream. Like I don't eat
them
whatever the cream is. It's like the Cadbury cream egg, right? You guys, we talked about that, right?
Love them.
We do Easter.
Great.
See, and I'm not a Cadbury egg guy.
I even like that they put the effort to make it look like an egg yolk. I love that. It's every part of it. So creamy.
Jeremy,
it's all about presentation.
Where do you stand on the Cadbury?
I don't like them. I don't like them. Yeah.
The only thing that ruins Cadbury eggs for me is like that Van Wilder scene with the donuts. And they're like, I've had these before. They're so creamy. I think of that sometimes when I eat Cadbury eggs. Because I'm like, oh, man, this is a thick white cream. But delicious. Anyways. It's the only thing that holds me back.
What she said.
Mm-hmm. So did Gandalf get a hold of these first? He's a real trickster.
Yeah.
Dude's pent up for 1,000 years, according to Nick. So
more than that, he's 3,000 years old. I think
it's crazy talk. That concludes episode 46 of PT Shop Talk. As always, hit us up at ptshoptalk@gmail.com. Check us out at YouTube at PT Shop Talk. Same thing with Twitter handle PT Shop Talk 1. I forget why I had to put a 1 on there. I swear there's no other PT Shop Talks, but they hated it. Check us out on Facebook as well. And until next time, everybody have a Merry Christmas and so long. I'm Casey Hansen. With me as always, Nick Doling, Jeremy Van Klompenberg.